Mr. Dustin Boydell. How's it going, buddy?
Oh, good. How are you?
Oh, I'm loving Demko's play so far. He's the only reason the Canucks are still in this game right now.
Yes, you are not kidding.
So the first up of our ups and downs is going to be a big old up for Mr. Demko.
Yeah, I mean, Demko was really starting to find his game before that groin injury took him out of the lineup again. So because he didn't have to miss as much time, he looks just as sharp as when he left. He said after last game he didn't feel as sharp as he wants to be, but if this is what we're seeing right now and he's not at the top of his game as he feels, then could be an interesting end of the season here.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the thing at the end of the day. You look at, you asked Vegas when they were playing against Demko in the playoffs, and the Canucks did end up losing that series, but we took them as far as we possibly could. And Demko was the sole reason for that, as he did exactly what he's doing. These crazy split saves that he's doing are absolutely insane. They're pure reaction and pure instinct, and that's the kind of thing you like to see from a goalie like Demko.
Well, nice thing about the split saves is his knees are straight. So, it's not going to injure that, right? It might just blow his groin to the Spider-Verse, but he looks great. You cannot complain about that sort of stuff. What you can be upset about are the chances being given up that have led to him needing to make some incredible saves. There is this different confidence you have with Demko back there, though. Like, I don't find myself holding my breath when those odd man rushes are happening. Like, there's just a different comfort you feel when you know you have an elite starting goaltender between the pipes. And so it's really nice to see. Tough for the offense. They haven't really got anything going. I really don't like the Oman between Lecker and Carlson. I would have rather seen Ratu there, just because in Abbotsford, that's who's been playing together, and that line absolutely was tearing it up before they all kind of came up for injury replacement help. So that one's a strange one to me. That one's just another talk it tinker thing where it's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you got to use these guys and they've been playing together for, a quarter of the year down in Abbotsford with some pretty impressive offensive success, why would you break them up here? Also, it allows you to kind of put Oman with more of the style players he needs to be with in between Joshua and Garland, or Joshua and Sherwood. It's just that's the one thing in the lineup right now I would switch, probably those two centers to help Carlson and Lecker drive more offense. That's what Ratu has been doing down in Abbotsford. But, overall, Canucks are doing okay. Face-off percentage is good. Probably could have had a couple of power plays there. In the first 5 minutes of the game, there was some weird, Hronek got a stick held, and then I think it was, I can't remember who, Horvat slew foot there in the same kind of play. New York is kind of sneaky dirty. I mean, you're going to get that with a coach like Patrick Waugh, right? Like, he's going to tell you to get every advantage you can get. He's that kind of coach. So would be nice to see a power play here to kind of get the Canucks a little momentum going the other direction. But overall, for a road period coming into a desperate team's building who lost a real tough one last game, their last game was a real tough loss. That's a good road first period in the tail end of the road trip, so to come out of it 0-0, I'd say is a success. I would like to tighten up those odd man rushes, though. That's probably my big down right now. No one really individually down, but just as a team, kind of got to tighten it up defensively.
Yeah, I am going to give an even bigger up to one of our guys in the faceoff dot, because we've actually been giving them a pretty hard time. Teddy Bluger is actually 75%. He's taken 4 draws. He's won 3 of them. Ratu also has won 3 of 4. So generally, and then both the other 2 guys are at 50%, Niels Alman and Pius Suter. So right now the Canucks playing, the thing is the reason I'm giving it a big up is the Islanders are the number 1 faceoff team in the entire league. And so to do that even through one period is pretty impressive. Especially for a guy like Bluger, who we've been talking about the last few games where he has been struggling. What was it? 15% he was in the draw a couple games back. So good to see all the boys back there getting their shit back together in the faceoff dot.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of Bluger's success comes with having Connor Garland on his wing because Garland gets in there and gets a lot of winger wins for whatever center he's playing with. And that's a big thing with Bluger's statistics is face-off percentage. You don't factor in winger wins, but when a winger wins the possession right away, that's a face-off win for the centerman.
The only down I can it's not even like a big down, but it's kind of a down, is I feel like Quinn Hughes needs to practice his odd man rushes.
Well, I mean, he did say last game that he played the 2-on-1 like shit, right?
Yeah, classic me. I played the 2-on-1 like shit, him. Right? So, which is funny because I'm gonna give him a partial down at least for that because there is really no excuses, right? Like you have to figure it out. Even if you have a different body frame than some of the other guys that play 2-on-1s better, you have to figure it out because it's gonna happen. So, yeah, it's one of those things, right? But then the next topic that we're gonna talk about is Quinn is greater because some stats came out on Twitter or just yesterday, which are absolutely insane. So I'm gonna bring them up on the screen.
Someone is at my door. I will be right back.
Yeah,
talk about the stats with chat.
Yeah, it sounds good. All right. So for the stats here, it's absolutely wild. Actually. So let me get rid of that. So with Hughes on the ice, Vancouver scores at a higher rate than literally any team we've seen in 18 season-long shot attempt tracking era since 2007-8. So they score more goals per 60 minutes since 2008. 2007-2008 when Quinn Hughes is on the ice. When Quinn Hughes is on the ice, they have the second best even strength differential per 60 in the same sample to the historic Bruins of 22-23. So literally only one team is better at 5-on-5 even strength for goal scoring per 60 when Quinn Hughes is on the ice. And the reason this is so crazy is because if you look at the other side of it, without Quinn Hughes, the Vancouver Canucks score at a rate only better than 10% of the 552 teams that they did the tally on. So only 10% of the teams they score at a better rate without Hughes. And then if you're looking at it just as an even strength thing, so you're taking out shorthanded and empty netters and all that, they're the 24th worst even strength per 60 minutes, worse than among teams the 09, 10, and 13, 14 Oilers and the Chicago Blackhawks in the 3 seasons before they got Bedard. So literally, when Quinn Hughes is on the ice, the Canucks are the top 2 team in the entire history of keeping track of shots the way they are. And they are in the bottom 20 of all time in that 18-year sample as well. So more proof that Hughes is greater, isn't it, Dusty?
Well, I mean, with details like that and deep dives into stat tracking like that, I mean, that pretty much puts to bed the Makar-Hughes debate for me. Anyways, I mean, if the Canucks make the playoffs, which, let's be realistic, is going to be a hell of a stretch. If they lose this game, it's like less than a 10% chance. So if they make it, Hughes has to be one of the front runners for the Hart Trophy because without him, this team is nowhere. And it's evident through breakdowns like that. I mean, you can't deny that the numbers speak for themselves. And I mean, you see it. We see it every game, and now more so. The last broadcast, Amazon Prime, it sounded like it was the first time they'd ever seen him play hockey, and they were just blown away by how incredible this kid was. And so he's starting to get more noticeability around the league. We know the Eastern media has not really noticed him as much, but he's starting to get there now and starting to get the respect he deserves league-wide between analysts and also other teams.
Yeah, you definitely have to respect it. I mean, at this point, you have to say he's got to be the shoe-in to win the MVP. And if he didn't end up getting injured like he was, then it would just be like, it would be a no contest, right? Thomas with his first ever super chat donating $2 during the Rusty and Dusty Sideshow. So I'm going to assume that it's $1 for me and $1 for Dustin. Thank you very much, Tom. We appreciate it. His first ever dono.
Thank you.
Unsung hero. So the Vancouver Canucks do player awards at the end of every season, and one of those is the Fred J. Hume Unsung Hero Award. And generally that goes to a player who's been a big part of the team, but hasn't necessarily gotten the spotlight that he probably deserves. Who would you give the Unsung Hero Award to if you're going to pick someone?
I mean, I honestly, like, you sent me this article, but even before you sent this to me, I would have picked Tyler Myers. Through the year that we've had with all of the controversy and the crap that he takes from the fans online, and he just lets it, disappear, the chaos draft stuff. He doesn't pay any attention to it. He's taken it upon himself to improve his game defensively, utilizing the knowledge from the coaches like Adam Foote and Sergei Gonchar, and becoming a really solid veteran presence that is almost calming out there now after we've gotten used to him being so chaotic. He's kind of turning that corner into that wily, big veteran, similar to the way, I mean, nowhere near the same skill level, but similar to the ways that Zdeno Chara kind of turned a corner late in his career. Like, it was pretty late in his career where he became more effective and became a Hall of Famer. Like, he kind of bounced around when he was younger, similar to Tyler Myers. And now Myers, for $6 million, the stuff that he has done through the injury coverage when he had to play with Hughes when Hronek was out, and just the locker room stuff, I'm sure he was a huge leader through all of that, kind of guiding Quinn through it and helping him out and supporting him. Guys like that are really, really important to the team. And so I think through it all, he's had a calm, level head anytime he talks to the media or anything like that. So, yeah, like I completely agree that it should be Tyler Myers.
Yeah, I agree too. I mean, for the most part over the years, I've been one of the people who have been on Tyler Myers' side, because I've always said that Tyler Myers seems like the kind of guy that once the playoffs roll around, and he's going to be a big part of why the Canucks are successful in the playoffs. Last year, that was his defensive ability. Him and Soucy shut down McDavid just as much as Miller was out there doing it as well. But now, like you said, he's not making $6 million. He's only making the $3 million. He took a pay cut probably to stay with this team because he wants to retire as a Canuck. And this year, every time we've rolled out the stats at the quarters, Tyler Myers has been top 3 in the entire team for minutes played. So even before the injuries are coming in, they're leaning on him heavily. So yeah, I would definitely give him the award as well. So that's good to see. That's the article that came out on the Daily Hive from Rob Williams, if you guys want to check that out. Bedard come home? ? Now, we chatted a little bit about this, but there was another article that just came out today that I'll show you guys here. Connor Bedard receives warning regarding extending his Blackhawks contract, because obviously he is going to be going into this year on the last year of his contract, which means that he is going to be able to sign an extension as of July 1st. Does he hold out and just say, what is his rights as a young guy? Like, I don't even know if he's allowed to say trade me, because I think there's probably some rules against that. But is that a possibility where he's just like, listen, you guys haven't done anything for me. We've been terrible. I don't like what you did this summer. Can Connor Bedard finally say, oh, send me back to Vancouver?
Well, through his agent, he can definitely send some strong messages to the Blackhawks organization by declining any opportunity to extend or even discuss it until they show him that they're really interested in winning hockey games and rebuilding the right way. They don't really have any signs of doing that this season. It'd be a real important summer for them to kind of go out and bring in some bigger fish to support the kid and kind of give him that supporting character like we've talked about in the past. You have your 1-2 guys. You got McDavid has Draisaitl, Crosby has Malkin. When Thornton was in San Jose, he had Marleau. There's always a 1-2 punch. It's not always just one guy can't carry a team. He can make a huge difference if he's a generational talent, but he still needs a supporting cast, because if he's the only line that is dangerous, it's not that difficult to defend against your team. That being said, if Chicago goes out and does do that sort of thing and then becomes a little more of a cap ceiling team, then if Bedard has held out, he holds all the cards in the following summer when teams could maybe then offer sheet him, which puts Chicago in a tough spot if they're not able to match financially. And with a renegotiation of the CBA coming up, it's hard to say whether the penalty will, like, if you try to sign a max offer sheet, whether the penalty is still going to be 4 first-round picks going forward, or if it's going to be changed a bit to be some sort of monetary monetary penalty, or what happens. But it will definitely be enticing for some teams, including Vancouver, if they continue to be in a good cap position when the time comes to take a shot at a proven offensive talent.
For some reason, I'm just, you know the Dave Chappelle show, right? Where he's playing, I think he's addressed as Prince, and he's just like to the camera, he's just like, come on, Bedard, come home, come on.
Just come home.
This next one is actually from a New York Islander, but I saw this tweet yesterday after the game, which if you didn't see it, everyone was very upset. The the Islanders felt like they were robbed on a goaltender interference call. So I'll bring up the image here. Palmieri called the no-go call on his potential winner late in the third. Fucking embarrassing. Says he felt like the refs couldn't wait to wave the off the goal. Which is something I feel like I've heard you say a bunch of times. So, do you agree? Sometimes the refs want to wave them off.
That was an awful goaltender interference call. Like, if that's goalie interference, man, like, good luck playing a net front presence going forward. Like, we had one of those earlier this season. I think it was Bluger who had one called back, and it was just awful. And yeah, no, absolutely. You got to call it a goal and then give a team a chance to challenge or overturn it. It's going to be reviewed anyways. It's just silly that the refs made that decision on their own.
Yeah. Dustin, they are just about to get underway in the second period, so we will talk to you in the post-game show, brother.
Sounds good. We'll talk to you then. Enjoy.
Nothing is perfect.